Hi folks, Jake von Slatt here, and as you can see, I finished my anvil. So I built this out of some scrap steel. They were support pieces for a plastic injection mold that had a it was a soft tool, so it had a aluminum core, and then there was sort of this box of this 2-inch steel plate that supported the ejection pins and such. I got it from a previous job, a place I worked like 20 years ago. And well, let's take a closer look at it. Okay, so I began with these 3 metal plates. This was like a square that was like 2 feet by 2 feet, and I cut it in half. I didn't really have anything that could cut it, so I just put it on my CNC milling machine and just ran pass after pass down the center until it was 2 equal sides. There's a slightly shorter piece of steel inside, so there's actually 3 plates. I think they're about an 1.5 inches, maybe an 1.25 inches thick, stacked together, and they're bolted together with 1/2-inch bolts. I milled the top to give me this sort of stepped profile so that I could put these 2 other blanks of steel. I guess these aren't 2 inches. These are maybe 1 3/4 inch thick steel. So I had 2 plates that were about the same, and I milled one down so that the other could sit on top of it. And I also used the CNC mill to create a horn on the end. I modeled that in Autodesk 123D, which I kind of miss. Autodesk has discontinued it. You can, as a hobbyist, use Fusion 360 for free, but Autodesk 123 was so nice and simple. I still use it today to whip some things out real quickly. So this is a conical section that was then tilted so that one edge of it was parallel with the face of the anvil, and that was milled on my Bridgeport Series 2 CNC machine and then finished with an angle grinder. I'm gonna hammer a pin into that hole, or perhaps I'll drill it out and interference fit something. So the horn is not hardened, neither is that little cut surface there, but the top is. Now this is mild steel, so you can't harden it too much, but if you do heat it up to red hot heat and then quench it in something called super quench, which is basically water that has a lot of salt and surfactants and soap dissolved in it, you can get it to be much harder than it is in its normal state. And and you can see this anvil's got pretty good rebound. If I drop a ball bearing from 10 inches, it bounces back 5 inches, which ostensibly means that this is railroad rail hardness. And after using it for a while, that seems pretty reasonable. As I said, the bottom plates are bolted together. The top plates are welded on. Be kind, this was the first time I ever stick welded, so these welds are not that pretty. We're backlit here, so I'm not sure how good an image you can get. And you can see some of that welding in the engine-driven welding video series. Engine-driven welder video series on my channel. Base was made out of some 2x6s that I was given. They're just all stacked together and they're bolted through and through, and then I soaked them in some copper preserving solution, and also I sealed the top with some like silicone gunk. It's actually not silicone stuff. It's more of a butyl rubber sealant so that the end grain, water stays away from the end grain. And then these brackets are welded to the anvil and they're screwed to the top, so it's not going anywhere. Let's see. So it's got all the standard features. Hardy hole. I forget what that's called. But the little hole for, you know, doing things you need a little hole for. One of the things that turned out really nice was this hole that just happened to be in the base plates. What I found is this becomes really useful if I'm doing things like making hardies. And I'm going to grab an example now. So this is a fuller, a hardy that's used for basically sort of making a dent in something. And it's made from a 1-inch piece of steel, and you can see that it drops all the way in. But what I did was I put this bar stock through here, and that kept that 1-inch piece of steel proud of the anvil surface and allowed me to upset it to make this hardy. You can see this whole top part is the upset steel, and then I welded a piece of it's a leaf spring from a trailer on top to be the actual tool. So this bar was really useful in helping me to upset that 1-inch steel to fit that hole. That's a feature that not a lot of anvils have, but so far it's been useful. So I think that's about it for the story of the anvil, and it's been in use for about a year or so. You know, you can see it has sort of the usual nicks and stuff, but the surface is still pretty nice. You know, use is only going to work harden it even further. It's never going to be, you know, a piece of you know, hardened steel or anything, but you know, it's going to be a long time before I feel the need of anything superior to this. It's 260 pounds all told, so it's a nice mass, and should serve me well over the years. This is Jake von Slatt. See you next time.